Good afternoon, students. Now, today we move on to a second poem, that is an elementary school classroom in a slum. Students, the first and the foremost thing that I want to tell you is that repeat the name of the poem. And I am telling this because whenever some lines are given from this particular poem and the name of the poem and the poet is asked, these students, they 90% students, they commit mistake in the name of the poem. Sometimes they miss the word a or an or the word classroom or the word school. So just when I am reading aloud the name of the poem, repeat it with me: an elementary school classroom in a slum. See, this poem is somewhat related to the chapter that we have studied. Just can you guess? The chapter Lost Spring. In that chapter, we have studied that there are many children who are devoid of their basic rights, that is the access to school, access to education, having proper food, proper books for education, going to school, and there are many things. We have studied two characters in the chapter Lost Spring, that is Mukesh from Firozabad. He belonged to a bangle making family, and the other character is Sahib Alam. They were squatters in Simapuri, the periphery, the outskirts of Delhi, right? And that child was also a rag picker. Now, how this poem, now come on to this poem, how this poem is related to Lost Spring. Categorically, I told you that Lost Spring. Spring is considered to be the best season. Similarly, childhood is considered to be the best period of life. And if a child is devoid of the basic amenities that are required during childhood, that means that child is losing his spring, or in other words, or in easy way, the child is not able to enjoy his spring, right? Now, how this poem is compared to, or why I am comparing this poem to Lost Spring, because here also the poet Stephen Spender, he is focusing on the problems faced by children who reside in slums, children who belong to poor parents, parents whose earning is not good enough, or you can say enough for the livelihood. Now, how do these children, when they go to elementary school that is located in their locality, that means in slum area, how do they feel? How do these children look? And what, as authority, the governors, the inspectors, the government, or we, other people, well off people, as citizens, can do to uplift the condition of these children, or what can be done so that the condition of these children is improved. So this is all the poem is about, students. Today we will do the first and second stanzas. Don't call it paragraph. I repeat, when it is a poetry, we call it stanza, not paragraph. Okay, so we will do two stanzas today. First stanza is, see, the basic theme I have already narrated before you, and What is written in your text is an elementary school classroom in a slum. The poet has concentrated on the theme of social injustice and class inequalities. See, class inequalities, I think you understand. Some people are very rich, very super rich. Okay, some are middle class. In middle class, also there are upper middle class, normal middle class, and then lower middle class. And some people are very poor, very poor. So, this is the poem which also reflects social injustice and class inequalities. Now, before you read, have you ever visited or seen an elementary school in a slum? Elementary school, again, please focus on this word elementary school. Elementary school here means primary school, which provides education up to class fifth as per our Indian education system is concerned. Otherwise, also elementary classes means very basic classes. Is that clear? So, elementary school means primary sections, right? Now, be very attentive. There are many poetic devices, in other words, figures of speech that is used in the poem. And one thing is that you will identify on your own and then you let me know whether you have done it correctly or not. Then I will clarify it. Okay. Now come on to the first stanza. That is, far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces look like rootless weeds. The hair torn round their pallor, the tall girl with her weighed down head, the paper simming boy with rat's eyes, the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease, his lesson from his desk. At back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young, his eyes live in a dream of squirrel's game in tree room other than this. The very first line, far, far from gusty waves. Gusty means strong blowing wind or air or breeze. Is that clear? I repeat, gusty here means the blowing wind, the fast moving wind or breeze or air. Is that clear? So far, far from these natural gusty waves, waves here means air. These children, now who are these children? These children means the children from slum area. Underline this word, these children. Now, who are these children? If there is a simple question, these children, the children from slum area. So, far, far from gusty waves, these children's faces look like rootless weeds. Children face Children's faces are compared with rootless weeds. See, weeds, science students might be knowing what weeds are. Weeds are unwanted plants. Whenever we grow, suppose crops, wheat crop, rice crop, some vegetable, and there are unwanted plants, what do we do? Or what a farmer does? Simply pluck it out. Why? Because these weeds, they consume the nutrition, the fertilizer, the water that is being given for the plants, right? Now, weeds when they are plucked out, how do they look? They are not fresh, isn't it? Just you imagine something, some grass that is taken out from its soil, that is plucked and just thrown like anything. Now, children face these slum children faces are compared with rootless weeds. Now, what conclusion you make? The conclusion is that the children are malnourished, they are not getting proper nutrition, they are not getting proper diet, proper food, and that is why they are their faces is dull, fade. Okay, now, so far, far from gusty waves, these children faces like rootless weeds, the hair torn round their pallor. Their hair is falling on their face. Pallor is pale face. Underline this word, very important. Pallor. Pallor is their face, which is pale in color because again of malnutrition. Proper nutrition is not in their body. So the hair that is torn around, that is hanging round their pallor. Pallor, I told you, is face. Then the poet describes some different types of children who were sitting in the class. Third line, the tall girl. So, first student who is described here is a tall girl with her way down head. How is the girl sitting in the class? She is just put, she has put her head on the desk, as many of you sit in the class when you are tired, or when you think that you have studied a lot and you need some relaxation. Okay, so you sit like this in the class. Similarly, the tall girl with her weight down head. Second child is the paper seeming boy. The boy was as thin as a paper. So the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. See, he was very, very thin as a paper. Is that boy is compared to a paper. And how what extra is being described about this boy is that with rat's eyes. Again, rat's eyes is very small eyes, and he is looking for nutrition for food, and that is why his eyes are so small, just like that of a rat. So the paper seeming boy with rat's eyes. Yet another boy is being described, the stunted, unlucky heir, HEIR, heir. Heir is, I told you, in Hindi it is Uttradhikari, right? Or one who inherits the property of their parents. Those people are called heir, HEIR. So the stunted, unlucky heir of twisted bones reciting a father's gnarled disease. His lesson from his desk. Students, be very careful. Sometimes it is being asked that what was the stunted boy doing, and what was he reciting, and students they answer the boy was reciting father's gnarled disease. No, father's gnarled disease here, gnarled disease is disease concerned with some bone. Okay, he has inherited that disease from his father, and that is why he is called unlucky heir. Now simple question if is asked ki why the child, the stunted boy, stunted means again very weak, he had twisted bones, why this child, the stunted boy is called unlucky heir. He is called unlucky heir because instead of property, instead of wealth, this boy has inherited his father's disease. Sometimes it happens, that some diseases, they are genetic. They passes from one generation to another generation, and that is why this boy, he has inherited that father's gnarled disease. Gnarled disease, I told you, is disease of bones. GNARLED, pronounced as gnarled. Okay, so this boy, he had twisted bones. His bones has twisted, turned, and is called unlucky heir because instead of property, he has inherited his father's disease, gnarled disease. And what was this child doing in the class? He was reciting his lesson from his desk, sitting on his seat, sitting on his desk. Is that clear? Three children have been described till now. Girl, she has put her head on the desk, she was sitting like that. Second boy was very thin, his eyes were very small. Third boy, he was unlucky heir of his father's disease, and this boy, what he was doing, he was simply reciting his chapter, his lesson from his desk. Another boy at back of the dim class. How is the classroom described here? Dim class, dark class. There was not proper ventilation, proper light in the class. You get 2 mark question ki how the classroom is being described by the poet. So at the back of the dim class, one unnoted, sweet and young. This child was different, a little bit different from the other students who have been described. So this child, he was very small, very young, very sweet and unnoted. Nobody has paid attention towards him. But how was he different? His eyes live in a dream. He dreams of better days, and his life eyes lived in a dream of squirrel games in tree room other than this. He was not thinking about the classroom where he was sitting. He was thinking about the squirrels, about the nature. One word is there, students, that you have to pay attention to. That is his. This boy was thinking of squirrel games. Squirrel, you understand? Squirrel's game in tree room. Now, what is tree room? Tree room is basically, you might have seen that there is some hole or nest type of thing made in the stem of a tree, right? Even birds, they make their nest on the branches of the tree, and that is their room, bird's room. Similarly, the squirrels, when they make hole in the stem of the tree and they go inside it, so that is their room. Okay, I hope it is clear to you. So, in tree room word means the hole or the nest made by squirrels or different types of animals where they reside, where they live. Is that clear? Yes. So, this boy, how was he different? Because he was not thinking about his slum classroom. He was thinking about the nature. He was thinking about squirrel game. He wanted to go outside and play. So, he was different from other students. Quickly move on to the second stanza, students. Yes, on sour cream walls. Again, here also classroom has been described. The walls are sour cream. That means even the painting has been faded. It is cream color, but sour cream, the word sour here describes that it is faded. Donations means whatever is being hanging on the walls, they have been donated by some well off people, rich people. So donations are hanging on the wall. Then what are the different things that are hanging in the classroom or that are being displayed in the classroom? This second stanza talks about that. Okay, be very attentive and very careful. On sour cream walls, donations. Shakespeare's head. Shakespeare's head means there was photograph of Shakespeare's face or head that was there in the class. Then there were different types of sceneries. Cloudless at dawn, very early morning scene, that was cloudless, means clear morning scene. Civilized dome means pictures of different cities with dome. You understand that upper portion of Taj Mahal, it is also in a dome shape. Okay, so civilized dome riding all cities means showing cities, different cities on the picture, on the scenery. Then there are different type of valleys, flowers. So these are the things that are hanging in the class. No need to be confused. Okay. There is Shakespeare's head, cloudless at dawn, civilized dome riding all cities, belled, flowery, troilus valley. Troilus valley. There are different types of churches, bells, flowers. Then one more thing is there, that is open-handed map. Here you have to be careful. Open-handed map awarding the world its world. See, world map. What does the world map do? The world map shows the world, shows the people of the world, the picture of world on a simple piece of paper. Is that what does the map do? See, we see India's map and we see that India is in front of us. Is that so easy? So here the poet means to say that there is open-handed map. The map is being made very open, means clearly it is just marked different boundaries. And what is the map doing? The map is giving the world its world. And yet, for these children, these windows not this map their world. For these children, the map hardly hold any importance. What is important for these children? Does the poet say? For these children, windows. Now see, what is the role of windows? That the poet says that for these children, these windows not this map their world, means they look outside their slums, ki how the world is living, how the other people are leading their life. what is outside their slum area, how the rivers are so clean, how does the sky look, how does the sea looks, how does the nature behave, or how does the nature looks so beautiful. So for these children, these windows, that is more important. So what is the role of the window? Means they can peep outside, they can move outside and see the real world instead of the world that is marked on the map. Okay, so for these children, these windows, not this map, is their world where all their future painted with a fog, a narrow street sealed in with a lead sky, far, far from rivers, capes, and stars of words. Students, last three line of this second stanza, be very attentive again. See, these children, if they are not able to move out of their slum area or the area where they are residing, just think about Sahib Alam. He was living in Simapuri, and suppose he does not move out of Simapuri, will he be able to see how Delhi looks like? Isn't it? So, for the poet is describing the same thing is that for these children, window is their real map, not the world map is their real map. Why? Because where here word denotes their slum area. Okay, if the simple question is asked, where all their future painted with the fog, means if they remain here only in the slum area only, in the slum school only, and if they do not get the opportunity to move out of this slum area, what one can foretell or what one can guess about their future is that their whole future is painted with fog. Now, what does the word fog denote here? Fog is obviously something very hazy, that is not clear. Okay, so here, if they remain very much confined in this slum area, their future is painted with fog. Fog means something is hazy, not clear, means what they are going to do in future. So that is uh, what the poet is saying, that where in the slum area all their future is painted with a fog, here even they are not able to look at the clear sky. So a narrow street, narrow, very narrow streets, sealed in, covered with lead sky, means even the sky to them does not appear to be clear. Lead sky, again, lead color is that point of the pencil, you know, that is grayish black color. So from their narrow lanes, they are only able to see even unclear sky, means not even clear sky. So a narrow street sealed in confines them, cover them with a lead sky, which is very, very far from clear rills, rivers, Cape, you know, Cape Town, Kanyakumari is again Cape of Cameroon. Three ways where there is only water body. Okay, South Africa, you know, that is called Cape Town, that one of the capitals of South Africa. So that is Cape. Now I hope you understand the meaning of Cape. Okay, in our point that Kanyakumari at the bottom of our country, Indian map, three sides it is surrounded with sea. So that is Cape. These children, they are very, very far away from rivers, capes, and stars of words. Stars again means clear sky. Of word means of people who can encourage them, who can say something good to them. So these children are very far even from the nature. Forget about the good school, the sophisticated schooling system, the proper food that some fortunate children are able to have. These children are devoid of all those such things. They are very malnourished, sitting in their slum classroom, and they are fighting with that weakness, and different type of students with different types of problems, diseases. They were suffering from, they were sitting in the classroom, even the classroom was not well ventilated, even the classroom looked very dull, very uninspiring, which was not at all motivating for these students that they should gain education. Okay, we will continue the next two paragraphs tomorrow, students, but be very attentive. Good afternoon.